that a father, a son, and another son were very lazy, and their mummy does everything. She vacuums the carpets, she makes breakfast and dinner, she washes the clothes, she does a million things. And this is the and she left, and this is the house when she left. They turned into pigs. Let's hear about their story. Anthony Brown, Piggy Book. Mr. Piggot lived with his two sons, Simon and Patrick, in a nice house with a nice garden and a nice car and a nice garage. Inside the house was his wife. "Hurry up with the breakfast, dear," he called every morning before he went off to his very important job. "Hurry up with the breakfast, Mom," Simon and Patrick called before they went off to their very important school. "Oh, there's Simon screeching to Mom to get up his breakfast." After they left the house, Mrs. Piggot washed all the breakfast things, made all the beds, vacuumed all the carpets, and then she went to work. She must be very late for work because she has to make the breakfast, wash all the things, make all the beds, and vacuum all the carpets. "Hurry up with the meal, Mom," the boys called every evening when they came home from their very important school. "Hurry up with the meal, old girl," Mr. Piggot called every evening when he came home from his very important job. Look, because his name is Mr. Piggot, there's a pig. Ha! As soon as they had eaten, Mrs. Piggot washed the dishes, washed the clothes, did the ironing, and then she cooked some more. Then when does she eat? She must be starving. Lazy Mr. Piggot, Piggy Bank. One evening, when the boys got home from school, there was no one to greet them. "Look, there's a pig." "Where's Mum?" demanded Mr. Piggot when he got home from work. "Oh, pig again." She was nowhere to be found. On the mantelpiece there was an envelope. Mr. Piggot opened it. Inside was a piece of paper. "You are pigs. Look, there's lots of pigs in here. Find out. Pig, 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 pig." And he's turned into a pig. "But what shall we do?" said Mr. Piggot. They had to make their own meal. It took hours, and it was horrible. Next morning, they had to make their own breakfast. It took hours, and it was horrible. Pig. "Oh, they're very unclean without Mummy." Pig, pig. The next day and the next night and the day after that, Mrs. Piggot was still not there. Mr. Piggot, Simon and Patrick tried to look after themselves. They never washed the dishes. They never washed their clothes. Soon the house was like a pigsty. Pig, 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 pig. Oh, look at the dog. You see that nose? Pig, pig. Oh, wolf. Oh, very scary. "When is Mum coming home?" the boys squealed after another horrible meal. "How should I know?" Mr. Piggot grunted. They all became more and more grumpy. Look at the clothes. One night there was nothing in the house for them to cook. We'll just have to root around and find some scraps, snorted Mr. Piggot. And just then, Mrs. Piggot walked in. Please come back, they snuffled. So Mrs. Piggot stayed. Mr. Piggot washed the dishes, but how did they turn back into people? I wonder. Patrick and Simon made the beds. Mr. Piggot did the ironing. And they all helped with the cooking. They actually enjoyed it. Mum was happy too. She mended the car. The end. Everyone, you have to behave nicely to your mother before she turns you all into a pig. And she leaves the house. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.